This video is brought to you by Squarespace. I used to believe that if I didn't sound native, just like an American, my English wasn't good enough. I stressed over every word, every sound. But today, I want to talk about the dark side of this mindset. The first thing that I experienced in my language learning journey was losing my identity. Because language is more than just words or grammar. It's deeply tied to culture, personal history, and self-expression. And when I was working so hard to completely erase my Russian accent when I spoke English, yes, maybe I was feeling like I was improving my skills and blending in better, but over time, I felt like I was suppressing a part of who I truly was. Because an accent is way more than just your pronunciation in English. If you mispronounce a word, yes, there is a chance that the other person is not gonna understand you. So it is important to know the correct pronunciation. And if you're not sure how to pronounce a certain word, Google it, look it up, ask ChatGPT. But the thing is, an accent also reflects where you come from, your upbringing, and also your culture. It's not just about how words are pronounced. And if you erase your accent completely, you might feel like you're erasing a part of yourself. And some people realize it way too late that they have sacrificed a part of their authenticity for a chance to fit in. The reason I even decided to make this video is because I watched a video by a fellow YouTube creator, the English coach, titled The Dark Side of Wanting to Sound Like a Native Speaker. And there, she said something that resonated with me so freaking much.
For me, it was more than that. For me, I wanted to have an identity that was not mine, right? I was not a native Spanish speaker, but I really wanted people to think that I was.
Guys, the same thing was happening to me in English. I was never a native English speaker, but I really wanted other people to think that I was. I really wanted to have this other identity. I wanted to sound 100% American. If anyone noticed my Russian accent or any accent at all, I felt like I was a failure. And it's so funny because when you're trying to fit in so badly with a different group of people, you also stop fitting in with your peers. Because I was so obsessed with English, I didn't want to speak Russian. And when I was speaking my native language to my family and my friends, I really wanted to include some English phrases because I wanted them also to know that now my identity is 100% different. I was a different person now. I was pushing away that identity, but I also wanted to have an identity that was not really authentic to me. I wanted to become a person I never was and never truly would be, if it makes sense. Right now in Russian, we have this super trendy expression "Я дурею с этой прикормки." To translate it to English might be complicated. The best translation I could find is something like, "I'm losing my mind over this bait." We use it very often right now in slang and informal Russian, and in the past, I would feel really self-conscious saying I'm losing my mind over this bait because obviously this expression doesn't make any freaking sense in English. But you know what I do now? I use it anyway. I like this expression in my native language and I want other people to learn a little bit about my culture because this is the identity that I truly love. I love translating all of those funny expressions from my native language into English and then explaining them to people around me. Another one that a lot of my friends, English-speaking friends, are now saying is "my shock isn't shock." It doesn't make any sense in English, I know, but in my native language, we have this expression. And so now I use it in English as well. In the past, I always think that letting my true self shine would mean that people would not understand me, would mean that I was moving further away from communicating my thoughts effectively to this other person. But now I don't think this way at all. This is who I am, and I love speaking English this way. I get closer to people because I'm not afraid to show them my true self. And here's the ironic part. No matter how much effort you put into sounding exactly like a native speaker, people will still hear something in your voice that makes them ask, "Oh, where are you from?" And guys, that is not a bad thing because your accent tells a story. And if you're someone who is embracing your unique voice, whether in language learning, your career, or personal projects, having a strong online presence is just as important as having a strong real life presence. That's where today's sponsor, Squarespace, comes in. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build your online presence, whether you're starting a blog, showcasing your portfolio, or even selling products. One of the things that I love about Squarespace Squarespace is how incredibly easy it is to use, even if you're not tech savvy. You don't need to be a coding expert to have a professional website up and running in no time. So let me show you how I have been using Squarespace to create my own website. Squarespace's design intelligence takes their 2 decades of design expertise and integrates it with cutting-edge AI to help you create a unique, visually stunning website without the hassle. It adapts to your preferences, ensuring that your website looks both personalized and professional. If you're like me and offer consultations or services, Squarespace also has an integrated tool called Equity Scheduling, which makes it super easy to manage appointments and even accept payments, all from your website. And if you're looking to grow your audience, Squarespace offers tools for running email campaigns to keep your subscribers engaged and drive more traffic to your content. If you're ready to take your passion project to the next level, head to squarespace.com/Veronika to start your free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the code Veronika for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Trust me, it's one of the best investments you'll make to showcase your skills or launch your dream project. Now let's talk about the second thing I struggled with a lot in the past, which was accent anxiety. I would always set impossible standards for myself. If I don't sound 100% native, I shouldn't speak English at all. If I try to pronounce this word and a native speaker could hear that I was not a native English speaker, then I failed. And eventually what happened to me was I started preferring silence over the risk of making a mistake, which obviously completely blocked my language learning progress and made me even less confident in myself. So if you guys struggle with accent anxiety, just remember that accents are not mistakes. They are a natural part of speaking a second language. It just means that you can speak more than just one language, more than just your native language. And the goal should always be clear and confident communication, having fun while talking to the other person, feeling like you're being your true self, not perfection, not trying to sound 100% like them because they are a native speaker and that is your goal, to sound 100% like a native speaker. Okay, now let's get back into talking about feeling like an imposter. As non-native English speakers, I'm sure we have all heard other people say to us, "Wow, your English is so good." And I knew that those comments were meant as compliments, but they still left me with this uncomfortable feeling, like I would never truly fit in. And it's crazy because instead of feeling proud of my progress, I always kind of felt exposed, like no matter how fluent I was, and even I am right now, my accent will always give me away. And back then, I thought that my accent was actually betraying me. And this is what psychologists call the impostor phenomenon. All I could think about in those moments was, I'm not from here. I'm different. No matter how well I speak, I will never be one of them. And only after years of working on myself, going to therapy, journaling about all of my fears, I realized that my voice actually matters. My story matters. And the best thing you can do is own your unique experience. Because the reality is that you don't need to change who you are to fit in. You just have to keep showing up as yourself. That's it. And when people tell you that, wow, your English is so good, they mean it as a compliment. And yes, it does mean that you're different, that you are a non-native English speaker, and that is absolutely okay. There's so much strength to be found in this realization. There's actually a word in English that I still struggle with so much, even though I have been learning English for so many freaking years. And this word is iron. I feel like even right now saying it, I can't say it correctly. No matter how many videos I watch, I just cannot hear the difference. Like, I don't know what to do with my mouth, with my tongue, to be able to pronounce this word correctly in English. Okay, now let's talk about something really important. I saved it for the very end of this video, and that is negative bias. Because I know why you're trying so bad to sound exactly like a native English speaker. We like to think that language is just about communication. But in reality, the way we speak shapes how other people perceive us, how other people view us. And sometimes it happens in really unfair and frustrating ways. In many cases, accents come with baggage, stereotypes, assumptions, and unconscious biases that really shape how other people treat us. I'm a native Russian speaker who is obviously speaking English to you guys right now, and I know how many stereotypes there are about this typical typical Russian accent in English. I even found a video to share with you guys, so let's watch it together.
I've been living in New York about 6 years now, and when I first moved there, I had a huge fear I was gonna get mugged, constantly. Like every time I left the house, I was like, here it comes. Someone's gonna take everything. I got over my fear because I learned a trick, and now I use this trick all the time. Whenever I think someone might try to beat me up or mug me, I fake a Russian accent. You're welcome. It's genius. I'll be walking home late at night, two dangerous looking thugs walk up to me like, yo, man, you know what neighborhood you're in? You think this bad neighborhood?
So I know this is a comedy show, right? So the purpose of it is to make other people laugh. But it also really highlights that we do attach certain stereotypes or expectations to a particular accent. I know it sounds super weird, but that is true. Like if I start speaking with the super strong Russian accent, I'm gonna sound completely different. And maybe your perception of me will change because now all of a sudden I'm speaking this very strong Russian accent. And as a non-native English speaker, I am so familiar with all of these biases, and they are truly exhausting. Sometimes when you're just trying to speak a language, you're actually fighting other people's preconceived notions. But guys, in reality, accents are neutral. They're just sound patterns. But people attach meaning to them based on culture, history, and stereotypes. It says more about other people than you. And that is why so many of us non-native speakers want to sound fluent in English. Because for us, it's not just about being advanced or sounding fluent. It's about wanting to be taken seriously, to be respected, and to be seen for who we truly are, not just where we're from, and all of the stereotypes people have about that place. So if you've ever felt like your accent is holding you back, let me tell you this. Your accent is not the problem. People's biases are. And the best way to break those biases, keep speaking, keep showing up as you are, and refuse to make anyone feel like your voice is invalid. By the way, guys, if you have seen my new YouTube banner, wink, wink, you might have noticed this amazing quote. The best language learner is the one having the most fun. There is a famous quote by the late climber Alex Lowe. The best climber is the one having the most fun. You know that about a year ago, I took up a new hobby, bouldering, so that's where I took this quote from, and it really inspired me to include a similar sounding quote in my YouTube banner because I think the same thing applies to language learning. The best language learner isn't the one who sounds the most native, isn't the one who never ever makes mistakes. It's the one who actually enjoys the process, who's found a system that works amazingly for them specifically. The one who keeps going, even if it's messy, even if their accent is not perfect, even if they don't know how to pronounce the word iron correctly in English. And that is why I say that I am the best language learner, and I hope you are too. So I think it's going to be it for today's video. If you liked it, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to create your own website, make sure to check out Squarespace. You can use my code Veronika for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. The link to check them out is going to be down in the description. At the beginning of this video, I said that the video by the English coach really inspired me to make this current YouTube video. So I highly recommend watching her full video because there she shares her journey with learning Spanish. So if this is something that sounds interesting to you, make sure to click right here and keep on watching.